Alright, so the second half of Module 2 deals with decimals. How many of you, raise your hand if you did decimals down in elementary school? What about adding and subtracting? Have you done it?
Yes.
Okay. So my hopes are, compared to fractions, which by far is the more complicated part of the module, there's a little bit of a breather that we could take, I think, when we do decimals, because you've done it before. Only time it gets a little tricky is when you have to order and compare them and decide which decimal's larger than the other. Believe it or not, that can be tricky. So lesson number 9 starts off with what I think is a review of adding and subtracting. We'll see. At least period 3-6 got there reasonably unscathed. They understood it and we were good. Where it can get a little tricky is when you have to subtract decimals and you have to borrow from zeros specifically. So we'll see how you do with that. Now let's do the warm-up together. Convert the following mixed numbers to decimals. We say it the same way we write it. How would you say this as a mixed number? Tonya. 12 and 6/10. So we know it's 12. The decimal takes the place of the word and. So every time you see a decimal, you say the word and out loud. 12 and then that's my tenth spot. So there's a little place value chart up here to help you to remember what your place value is. So since this is 6/10, I look at my tenths and I know that I need to put a 6 in that spot after the decimal. Yes. All right, let's do it. 46. And how do you say it, Christian? 3,900. So I know that these two digits have to span out to the hundreds. So I need 2 spots. And I just fill it out like that. See? Go for it. Well, how do you say it? And then, as you write it out, your hundredths, again, is here. So you got 8, decimal, 0, 3. Tricky because you got to do something with that number before you can span it out as a decimal. Because it's not 155.17. What do you have to do first, Nicole? Yes, you have to convert it to a fraction over 100. My constant of 2. And then 17/50 is equal to how many hundredths? 34. 155 and 34 hundredths. Okay? All good? Where are you getting lost? Do you know where I got that 34? I can't leave that as 50ths. In order for me to use place value, I have to convert this 50ths to hundredths. So how do I do that? Well, it's the same thing that I did back in Mod 1. I made an equivalent fraction of 17/50ths, which is 34 hundredths. Then I can write it out as a decimal. Okay? Okay, when we add and subtract decimals, do you line up numbers or do you line up decimals? When we add and subtract decimals, do we have to line up the numbers or do we have to line up the decimals? Jenna. Correct. So let's do it. Find the sum means to do what operation? Add. I can add them in any order. The way I kind of like to do it visually, just easier for me, is the one that has more digits goes on top. So it happens to be laid out perfectly as is right now with more digits. Well, they're actually equal in digits. But I have to line up my decimals. When I add it. See how I lined up my decimal? Any place where you don't see a digit, we're going to fill it up with a 0. I say, fill the empty nest with an egg. Not as important as it is in addition as it is in subtraction, but get into the habit of doing it. Does anybody know the name for those zeros? I would be impressed if you remember. Pergs. Good guess, not placeholders. Starts with an A. Dan. Close? Nope. Ryan.
Addition.
No, not additions. Raise your hand if you heard of the word annex zeros. And one student that knew it earlier today, have you heard of it? Annex zeros, we'll just call them placeholders. You don't need to know the name for that, but that's what they are called mathematically. All right, everything's lined up, now add it. 0 plus 7. 0 plus 3. 2 plus 5. Remember, all I'm doing is bringing the decimal directly down. I don't need to leap like I do with multiplication. 6 plus 8. 4 carry a 1. 7 plus 2 plus 1. 0 carry a 1. 9 plus 6 plus 1. 6 carry a 1. 1 plus 1. How do you say it out loud? Vicky Gargiulo.
2,604. No.
And 737 what? Whatever whatever the last place value is. That's why I left the chart on the previous page if you get lost. It spans out the thousands. You actually say the number 737 and then add the place value, thousandths in this case, because that's where it spans out to. Not correct. That's not the way we say it. We say it as 2,604 and 737 thousandths. That's the way you do it. Okay? And then what's kind of neat about it is if you could say it as a decimal, it's easy to translate it. Forgot a 4. Once you have it written out as a decimal and you can say it as a decimal, it gets pronounced the same way as a fraction mixed number as it does as a decimal. Eleanor.
2,604.
Right. Okay. That's a mixed number. Okay? Whole number followed by a fraction. All right, what do we have to do here? Add or subtract? Shane. Now the order does matter, so the first number has to go on top. I'm going to write that over again so you can see it. Have to line up everything by decimal. What should I put here? Got to put zeros there. Called annex zeros. More important now than it is for when we do it in addition, because you got to borrow. Here is where I have at least found where students get confused. Some, not all. What do I have to do first? I know I need to borrow because I can't do 0 take away 3. Madison. Okay, if I go to borrow from here, okay, I'd have to change this. So if this is a 0, I got to go all the way to my tenths in this case? I make it a what? Then what? Keep going. Which 0 becomes a 9? Right. Now I'm pretty much done with borrowing, at least until you'll see when I get to the tens, I'll have to borrow again. 10 take away 3. 9 take away 8. 4 take away 2. Decimal, bring it straight down. 6 take away 5. 2 take away 7. Can't do it. Borrow from the 4, make it 8. Yup. 12 take away 7. 3 take away 2. Done. It's this area where you have several zeros together where you gotta practice it, because not everybody knows it routinely. I want to say it out loud because we're going to write it as a fraction the way we say it out loud. Christian. Correct. Looks like that is a mixed number. Okay, first word problem. Read through it, decide what operation you need. Add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Jen. How many of you agree subtract? Everything in this particular lesson is either going to be add and subtract. Don't even worry about multiply and division just yet. The order does matter, so what from what? Go ahead, Jen. Yes. You can. Yes, you can. All good. Which makes sense because you have to wind up with a positive number because you're dealing with actual physical things. In this case, it's miles. So you can't have a negative number. All right, so 245 and 14 hundredths has to go on top. Anybody want to come up and just do it? Line everything up nicely and go? Snake. Try to write as neatly as possible because lining everything up perfectly is going to make a difference. Put a black where an annex 0 should go. You can do it right, it's fine. Okay, good. Subtract it. Do it. Finish it up. Looks great. Yep, 1 take away 5. I was going to say it might be easier to undo it. Don't forget your decimal got dropped out. Okay, 14 take away 8. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Say it out loud.
Okay. 116. Right. That's right.
Yes. 116 and 606 thousandths. Okay? And then it is a word problem, so we do want to put in a sentence. Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay? This is the last one together. 2 steps. Not only do you have to decide what operation, but you also have to convert it to decimals before you do that operation. Add or subtract. Let me say you have to add. Let me say you have to subtract. Well, let's read it. Ben needs to replace 2 sides of his fence. One side is 367 and 900 meters long, and the other is 329 and 3/10 meters long. How much fence does Ben need to buy? Revote. How many say add? How many say subtract? The no idea option. I bet you if this last sentence read, how much fence does Ben need to buy together, that will cue you in. You gotta add it. Okay, well, this is one side. This is the other side. Gotta add it together to get the whole entire amount that he needs to buy to cover the fence. Okay? But before we do that, you have to change these numbers to decimals. So 367 and 900ths becomes what as a decimal? Ryan? Correct. What about 329 and 3/10? Try it. Yep. I could add it right there, but they give me a spot to do the actual addition. And it is addition, so if you wanted to, you could do it in any order. Well, you might as well keep it as is. All right, go ahead, do it, and I'll call on one of you. Anytime you see a spot that's missing, fill out the emptiness with an egg. Looks good. Connor, you got it? Go do it. Bring it up and do the actual calculations with carrying. Looks good. Any issues? How do you say it out loud? Tenths.
Hundreds.
Got it. Okay. All good? All right, so I don't want you starting your homework yet, all right? We'll get a little sneak preview into what I was going to do tomorrow. If you're regular, you're doing pages 6 through 10. You're not going to get it done, okay? But you're going to start it. Advanced, go right to pages 11 through 15. You're not doing the first 6 through 10, okay?
Wait,
I realize that. We're ahead. We're a little bit ahead, which is fine. Okay? So this is what they're double periods, so I'm just giving you a little bit of a head start. You will probably not get 6 through 10, nor if you're advanced will you get 11 through 15 done. Start it. And then for homework tonight, no matter whether you're advanced or regular, everybody's doing 16, 17, and 18 for homework tonight. Okay? Nope. Classwork is classwork. When that bell rings, whatever's left of the classwork is left over for classwork for tomorrow. Okay? But I don't want you doing it in reverse. I don't want you to do the homework first and then go back.
I thought it said, oh wait. Oh wait, no.
This is 3-5. What I did was, is because we're a little ahead, I showed you what 3-6 is doing.
Can I just leave that like that because it's decimal, right? So you don't have to line up the decimals, because
Yeah, you do, but you have it. It's in the wrong spot.
so it'd be 1308
Point. Yeah, you can group up. It's got to be productive, though, all right? I want you to go right to advanced.